All right, I'd like to welcome everybody to a joint meeting of Protections versus Property Subcommittee and the Town Council, Wednesday, February 23rd, 2022, at 6 p.m. in the Veterans Room. The agenda item 1, I call the meeting to order. Number 2, roll call. Mr. Jovan?
Present.
Mr. Julian? Absent. Joe Catrona, excused. Scott Alonso, present. And Wally McKenzie?
Present.
Present. Moving on to agenda item number 3, review and discuss Deputy Chief Joe Ulick, recommendation to appoint Patrick Normandin of Sturbridge, Mass. As a permanent full-time firefighter effective immediately, pending the successful completion of the physical abilities test, PAT, background check, and psychological testing, and entertain a motion to submit to council for full confirmation.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Jovan, second by McKenzie. Discussion. Deputy Chief.
Thank you very much for having us this evening. So due to an early retirement that was official in the end of December, we have an open firefighter paramedic position. We posted that position. We received 33 applications. As with the past several processes that we've done in the last few years, we had members of the department come in, which from the line officers, EMS coordinator, members from the floor, to go over the applications. We identified 12 applications that we sought for a peer interview process. Of those 12, 9 were scheduled and 6 actually showed up. Out of those 6 applicants, they were reviewed by a panel of peers, which included myself, the EMS coordinator, line officer, and members from the floor and the bargaining unit. The consensus was that we moved 4 people forward to the skills evaluation. Completing the skills evaluation, from that process, we identified 3 individuals for final candidate interviews between myself, the town manager, and the human resources department. One of the candidates from the get-go was a family member of the fire chief, which is why I oversaw the process through its entirety. Through the interview process, Mr. Normandin identified himself as the clear candidate. He is a paramedic with years of experience. He does have firefighter 1-2 qualifications along with many others, as you can see in your packets. He just recently gave me the certificate for Fire Officer 3, so he is certified in that as well. So as a clear candidate, he was offered the position. At this point, there is still some things pending. He did receive a medical physical just maybe 4 or 5 weeks ago with his appointment to the call department. He is coming from the call department, and he still has to go through a PAT. So we're still waiting for the background check. That can take several weeks, for all the financial information and everything to come back. He completed a psychological screening yesterday, and we have not received the results of that yet. And this motion, obviously, all of those need to be favorable before we move forward.
Discussion.
Mr. Town.
Town Manager?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. As one who makes the appointment and seeks your ratification, I just want to say thank you to the Deputy Chief for conducting the screening process. I did participate, as he indicated, with the other members, including the HR, and yet clearly with one candidate that stood out over the others. I had the opportunity to meet Mr. Normandin on more than one occasion when he was sworn in as a call officer. His credentials were outstanding, so I have no problem making the recommendation as well to bring him on as a full-time firefighter. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Mr. McKenzie?
Yes, briefly, no problems with Mr. Normandin, but my question is that he came from the call group,
Yes.
so that will have to be replaced as well. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, that's one thing. And of course, it is subject to him passing the physicals and
Correct.
everything else, but I see no reason why we shouldn't support him.
Marquetti?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, through you. Of course, I'm going to support the candidate. I have absolutely no problem with this candidate. He's definitely qualified. The only thing I question is the process. It just seems to me that shouldn't the town manager have handled the process all the way through, considering he is related to the chief. You are a subordinate to the chief. It just seems to me, looking at state laws, that, of course, the chief can't be involved, or neither can his subordinate. I'm sure that you talked to the state, maybe they gave you the go-ahead on it, and would be interested in seeing what they had to say about it. They have a lot of laws and rules. Sometimes for some reason, they let you get around the laws and rules. I've always wondered why they have all these laws and rules if you don't have to follow them. So that's my only question. Of course, the guy is very qualified, and I will be voting for him, just questioning the process, that's all.
Okay. Both the chief and Patrick have filed disclosures with the Ethics Commission. I spoke with the town clerk, and we did not see any immediate issues with it. The chief had nothing to do with the process. I've received all the applications, went through all of those items, and the town manager was there for the final process to make the appointment.
Okay.
Yeah, the process, I mean, the process is what it is. The town manager is the one that basically carries it forward from your level. But I don't see a problem. I mean, unless there's some law that I don't know about. I know if you do the disclosures and you review it and he has nothing to do with it. I don't know if, and again, he brings up a point about subordinates, but again, I don't have a problem with the process. If I thought there was something wrong, I would mention it, but I don't see it. And if there is something there that's beyond what I can see, then we can find out. But I personally think that, by you handling it, you're not directly related to this person. So, I felt comfortable with you, working with the manager and the manager with HR coming forward with it, worked as well as it can work. I mean, it's the elephant in the room that nobody wants to talk about. Let's talk about it. Let's get it on the table. I don't have a problem with what we're doing. Mr. Jovan?
Thank you, through you. I certainly understand Councilor Marquette's position on it. However, I do believe at some point you would want somebody on the executive staff at the fire department to be part of the process of hiring a firefighter. So I don't know how Mass General Law, I've never seen that a subordinate of the chief, as long as the department head who is going to be the direct report doesn't have anything to do with the hiring process. So I respect that. I would want to see that. However, I think that somebody from the fire department has to be part of that process so that when you're hiring a firefighter, the town manager, in all due respect, is the town manager. He may not have any experience as a firefighter to know what would make a good, valuable firefighter. So I'll defer to the town manager for any other follow-up. But this candidate is very qualified, extremely qualified. I do appreciate also that the deputy chief did call me earlier today to say, hey, are there any questions that you have about any qualifications or anything before the meeting? I do appreciate that, and we did talk about some of the questions that I had asked Councilor Lazo earlier about the training and all that, about full-time academy and all that, and the deputy chief has answered my question, so I appreciate that, deputy, about the position. We can agree to disagree on some of that stuff, but I certainly understand the position that you have as a department and your explanation of how it changed in 2019. Certainly no issue. I think the fact that you've laid out the process of how you did this with other individuals in the department and the town manager, I'm very comfortable with this appointment. Thank you.
Mackenzie?
I'd just like to add that I'm very pleased with Councilman Marquette's concerns and questions, because we don't want to let things just slide in and slide around and just go because it's not checked. I like the fact that he checks, and he is like I kind of call him a watchdog, and I think it's a good thing to have. And yet I also totally support and respect Mr. Normanden's application, and we'll vote for it.
Any other discussion? Town manager?
Again, Mr. Chairman, thank you. I just want to add that there was objective criteria that was used. I won't get into all the details of how we do our hiring here, but I know that there were members of the fire department that also participated, some of the senior firefighters, as well as the leadership that did interview the candidates initially. I was able to see some of those rankings in the end, and they were in line with what the HR department and I and others found after meeting these three candidates. And I will say, first of all, thank you to everybody who put in, because we wouldn't get a qualified candidate unless we had people put in. But the people that came up, it wasn't, just to answer any questions, the other candidates were fully qualified. They had experience. One was trying to make it into full-time, had a lot of part-time and call experience. Another one was a full-time firefighter. So it wasn't, some people might say, would you put up one against two lesser qualified candidates? There were other qualified candidates there. It's just that the candidate before you outshined the others by quite a bit.
Very good.
Any further discussion?
One question.
Jovan?
Through you to the deputy chief. So based on the fact that you had other candidates and you may have ranked them, do they continue on the list like we had set forward in the prior hiring process?
It depends on the open position, because the other two candidates are basic EMTs at this point. So if the position was a paramedic position, we'd probably go out again.
And you're replacing this with a paramedic?
Correct.
Okay, desperately needed paramedic.
Good.
Okay. No, I certainly understand. But do they remain on the department list, depending on the opening?
Yes, if we had openings in those positions, we would still use those candidates.
All right, so say the grant comes forward for the SAFER grant, you would have a couple candidates with on
Yeah,
that list
we
for a
would
year.
we would
All right.
probably have to go out again, because at this point we have two candidates that we'd be looking at.
For 4.
Our grant was for 4, so
No, I
we
understand.
would look to see additional candidates.
Any
Thank
further
you.
discussion? Just a quick comment. It's interesting because this appointment was discussed, it seemed to be a little rumbling about, this gentleman, but I gotta tell you, one, the integrity of Joe Hulick shines through for me as far as his credibility. Town manager, same thing. And this firefighter, I'm damn happy we're gonna steal him from Sturbridge. The way I look at it is, I've seen this gentleman in action. I was on a construction site and I happened to set an alarm off, and he responded on it, and how professional he was. Because in some cases, when you got a construction guy setting off an alarm, it doesn't go over too big with the fire department. But he was professional. He handled it. This guy doesn't need his father to get this job. Okay, this guy here stands on his own merits, his own qualifications. When he came to get onto the call department, I go, wow, this is what we want. And I think the process is clean, and I think it, with you at the helm on this one here, with the manager and HR, I think it's a good deal, and it's good for the town of Southbridge. So, saying that, I think we're gonna if there's no further discussion, I'm gonna call for a roll call vote. John Jovan,
Yes.
Wally McKenzie,
Yes.
Scott Lazo, yes. Unanimous of all present. We'll go to the council. Thank you very much.
See you Monday.
Moving on to agenda item number 4, review and discuss the police department request for a transfer from account 001210.51100 salary to account 01210585300 electrical, lighting, communications in the amount of $4,500 to cover the cost to the purchase and install a new server for the phone and the voicemail system of the police headquarters. Entertain a motion to vote to recommend to full council.
So
The
moved.
approval is transferred.
Second.
Motion by Jovan, second by McKenzie. Chief?
Good evening, through you, Mr. Chair. We're currently 2 police officers short. We're budgeted for 38. We only have 36 working. We're in the hiring process for 2, so I have money in my salary. It seems like I repeat this every year. The issue with this is it could not be a capital request, because I just found out about this issue within the last week or so. And the only way we know our system's not working, when someone calls the police department, the business line, the 5420 business line, it rings and rings and rings and no one ever picks up. It is a short in the circuit somewhere. We had an IT professional come out that installed our last server about 10 years ago, and he basically said, you gotta keep rebooting it. But the problem is, I can't go in there and look and just reboot it myself. We have to be told it's not working. It's not always not working, but when it's not working, it's certainly a problem. Can't leave voicemail for any of the police officers, so if a resident's calling, I've had people text me, email me. They called Nora at the town hall this week and said, hey, what the hell's going on at the police department? We're calling, no one's answering. So she called over to me, or she called me on my cell phone, and I said, this needs to be resolved immediately. So that's why it's not a capital request. It's relatively a low amount of money. It fixes the server. It's a refurbished server, but I'm told it's gonna cost about half of what a brand new server would cost, and it should last us a while. But technology, the way it changes, I was just notified about it, couldn't budget for it, and that's why I'm here tonight.
Any discussion? Wally?
Yeah, when you just said that this would be half, because it's a refurbished server, is that right?
Yes.
How long is this thing gonna, do they project that it may last?
Well, if I could, through you, Mr. Chair, the one we have now, I believe, is either 9 or 10 years old, and the one we have now is refurbished. So I'm hoping that, rather than pay the full cost of a brand new one, I'm being told by people much smarter than me in the IT world, that it makes no difference. You can buy a refurbished one, just as good as new, but half the cost, so that's why I'm
Thank you,
doing
sir.
it this way.
Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous. Moving on to agenda number 5. Review, discuss police department requests for a transfer from account 0012-105-11000 salary to account 0012-1054-8000 motor vehicle parts accessories in the amount of $10,000 to cover the cost to the purchase of a Lundloff weapon mounts that are now required to be in compliance with the new mandates for the annual audit. Entertain a motion to recommend that the full council approve this transfer.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion by Jovan, second by Mackenzie. Discussion, chief.
And again, through you, Mr. Chair, this is another one I got notified on Valentine's Day, happy Valentine's Day to me, by the Law Enforcement Support Office, LISO. It used to be the 1033 program. They essentially, the federal government gave us rifles, patrol rifles, for the vehicles. I don't want to really get into the technical security aspect of it in a public meeting, but they come down every spring. This year they're scheduled to come down in April, and again, I was told about a week ago, 2 weeks ago, they're coming in April, and we now need these new mounts in every police vehicle. So I couldn't wait till the capital budget, obviously. That's not going to be money that I can spend till July. They're coming in April, and if we fail those audits, they take their rifles back. And we've got numerous rifles in our stockpile right now that with no cost to us. They were given to us by the military. It's a great program, and I want to stay in compliance with this audit, so that's why I'm here tonight.
Discussion. If there's no discussion, all those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Moving on to agenda item number 6, review and discuss the MACCS e-citations grant in the amount of $15,316 for the purchase of a printer, 6 rolls of citation paper, installation costs, applicable training on the MACCS e-citations application. Entertain a motion to vote to recommend the council to accept the $15,316 grant.
So moved.
Motion by Jovan, second by
Mackenzie.
Mackenzie. Chief?
Mr. Chair, again, this is quite simply electronic ticketing. It started in the Commonwealth in around like 2014 or so, but the issue was there were never any grants available. Now there is. What this does is it's just faster and more efficient way to generate reports, citations while our officers are in their vehicles. They essentially take a license, scan the back of it into a mobile data terminal, they call it, in the police cruiser. It automatically goes to the registry, does a driver history, warrant check, criminal history. Jack Jovan's nodding his head because he's well aware of this. It comes back instantly, immediately when the citation's issued. It gets sent to the Boston database, gets sent to the Insurance Bureau. Just instead of paper tickets, it's now electronic tickets. There's no waste, no issues. It's just accurate and completeness of citations, which is much needed in the state. And I haven't come forward before because it's pretty substantial cost, over $15,000 bucks. But now we have a grant to cover the cost, and all we have to do going forward, in case I'm asked, is buy the paper for it. They're going to come down, they're going to train us, they're going to install it. It should be good to go.
Discussion. Mr. Chairman?
I'm just curious, how long or how many citations do you get out of a roll of paper?
There's 6 rolls of paper we're getting with this. I think like a couple thousand. I think the paper lasts forever, to be honest with you. I'm told by other chiefs that I've asked that they probably spend a couple $100 a year in paper after the initial startup. So it's gonna be very short money, and it's all maintained by the state, by this grant. So the equipment's pretty good. It's been around for about 8 years, so all the bugs are worked out, and I feel pretty confident that the cost will be minimal. I'm not gonna need any increases in budget going forward.
Thank you.
Council Marquetti?
Thank you, through you. How often would you have to replace the printer?
The life of the printer, I do not know the answer to that question. But again, just talking with other chiefs, we've got nightmares in our building with mandated things and fingerprint machines and everything else that go. None of them have any complaints because it's relatively short money. And not to confuse the two, but like a fingerprint machine is $30,000, and ours is already, or it was on the fritz, and we had to replace some new software. The printer for this is all short money.
Right. And why would you need paper if it's paperless?
Because you have to give it to the operator
I see.
on the motor vehicle stop. You essentially hit a button, it prints out on the cruiser, and you hand the citation to the person.
I see.
Paperless for us, I should say, and for the courts.
I know when I used to work in graphic designs, we always had, we're going to the paper, we use more paper than we ever.
I hope that's not the case here.
That is true, yeah.
Well, you're right.
Any other discussion?
Just through you,
Gentlemen?
the chief. So 14, is that all your frontline crews? Is it all your cruisers? Is supervisors,
That's-
detectives, or
That'd be the fleet of marked cruisers and one unmarked car.
on one? Okay. And yeah, it is a good system. I mean, I've used it in both departments I've worked for, so it works nicely. So to get a grant on it is it's pretty good. So congratulations on that.
Welcome.
Welcome. No further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Agenda item number 7, review and discuss the Med Project LLC grant in the amount of $1,300 for the purpose of supporting law enforcement agencies in the collection of disposal of the unwanted medicine. Entertain a motion to vote to recommend to council to accept the $1,300 grant.
So moved.
Motion by Joanne, second by Mackenzie. Discussion, chief.
Mr. Chair, we did this, I believe most of the councils in this room in 2020, we did it in 2021. Now we're doing it in 2022. Essentially, we have a kiosk in our lobby, which I believe everybody here has seen. People bring in medications, put it in that kiosk, we don't ask any questions. This pays police officers for the disposal, we're gonna bring it to the incinerator. It can be quite a lengthy process to destroy medications. That's what this grant covers.
Any discussion? No discussion, all those in favor? Opposed, unanimous. Question, Tim, did you wanna, we're gonna run that up to the council, correct?
Yeah, but I'll just give you a brief overview if I could, Mr. Chairman. Many of you who may have checked your email today did get an email from me Friday afternoon. I had an unexpected follow-up from the Executive Office of Public Safety and Security. As many of you know, I had worked last year with Senator Fatman after we had the HVAC failure at the police department. It cost us roughly $75,000 to replace the chiller and do all the work. We had talked at that time to our local delegation, Representative Durant, Senator Fatman. Senator Fatman later called us back and said he could help us out, and he put $50,000 into a bill to get us some money for the repairs. He did come in and make a formal, or an informal, I would say, award. He presented us a check, a celebratory check, and we had a ceremony over at the police department last fall. Recently, Ms. Harnois had pointed out that we had never received the money, so we started an inquiry through his office that led us over to the Finance Division of the Executive Office of Public Safety and Security. Last week, they asked me to write them a letter, which I attached. I brought just extra copies in case anybody needed them, but these were what were attached to your emails, just in case. Explaining to them that this was the money that was for the catastrophic failure at the chiller.
Take a look first.
Once they had connected all the dots, they sent us that one-page standard form agreement, very similar to everything else that we've received when we've seen a grant, but this just has the box checked off that they're giving us a lump sum and there's no other conditions. So really what we need the council to do is formally accept that as a grant that came through in that piece of legislation. and they will cut us the check for the 50,000. And because I said it came in after hours on Friday, and yesterday was a holiday, there was no way that I could formally get it on this agenda. Being that this was an unanticipated item, I wanted to bring it to your attention this evening, either to have you vote on and move it to the council, or just bypass it. But nevertheless, I wanted to make you aware of it, and we are trying as best we can to get this money in this fiscal year. I don't know how long it will take for them to get it after we approve this, but I wanted to expedite this so that we get the money.
Again, we'll bypass subcommittee because it's not on the agenda.
Yep.
I mean, it's up to me, I'd walk it on, but,
We just suspend the rules, right?
was that?
Can't we just suspend the rules?
Well, I think,
You could.
Council Marquette's point, the open meeting law, if it is an unanticipated item, and that's why we couldn't get it on, and it's something timely, that's why I sent it to everybody.
Entertain a motion to waive the rules to add agenda item number 7.2.
So moved.
7.1.
The agenda item would be vote to authorize the town manager to sign the standard contract form to execute the award of $50,000
Vote to accept the $50,000 grant
from the Executive Office of Public Safety.
Safety and Security on behalf of Senator Fat,
Well, wait.
and authorize the town manager to sign it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Vote to waive the rules first, and to add this agenda item. Do I, there's a motion, a second?
Yeah.
All those in favor? Opposed?
Yeah.
Unanimous vote present. Main motion. We're gonna vote to
Vote to authorize,
recommend to council
right,
Yes,
to authorize.
the town manager.
well, first to accept you
The
want to
grant, accept the
the
grant.
$50,000 from the Executive Office of Public Safety and Security on the behalf of, I think we should work it in that Senator Fatman did get it for us.
Mhm.
Or from Senator Fatman through the Executive Office of Public Safety and Security, and then authorize the town manager to sign all the paperwork related to it too. That sounds sufficient.
That would be two separate,
I can type it up if
Yeah, just type it up, yeah.
okay, good.
That's one, it's to recommend to council.
yes, ma'am.
Okay. To accept the grant and to allow the town manager to sign all documents and move as fast as you can to get the grant.
Yeah.
All right, there's a motion on that?
Some-
Second,
There's a motion and a second? Any further discussion?
I just want to say thank you to the town manager for following up, and Karen, because I did bring that to their attention a week or so ago, saying, I asked Ms. Heinleis, hey, did we get the $50,000 back, and where is it, where is it in the, so that we can either send it back to stabilization or whatever we're doing with it. So I thank you for the follow-up, that's all I want to say.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous vote present.
It just goes to show you that just because they come in and bring in a big rubber, plastic check, doesn't mean the money's there, and so, if you just assume their office is gonna send it over, so
Right.
if Council Joven hadn't asked us, what did we do with the money, we wouldn't have started the paper trail.
Excellent.
And really, my discussion, Mr. Chairman, was really as to, okay, did we get it and where we put in it?
thank you.
So no doubt that they were keeping an eye on it, but
Good.
thank you.
Do we have a motion to adjourn? Motion by McKenzie, seconded by Joe Van. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous vote present.
Thank you.